Good morning, everyone. It's so good to see everybody. How are we doing? How did we experience the snow last night? Was it a good thing, a not good thing? I was like, yay, it's happening. Welcome to United First Parish Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, welcome to our Unitarian Universalist spiritual community. We gather today on the traditional lands of the Neponset Band of the Massachusetts tribe, a people who have lived here for generations and who live here now. Whether you are from the Quincy area or far away, you are very welcome here. And whether you are joining us in person or via live stream, you are very welcome. And whether this has been your faith community for decades, or if this is your first time here, welcome to you. And we welcome any guests who are visitors today, maybe coming for the first or second time. And if you are coming here for the first or second time, you are welcome to raise your hand so that our ushers can bring you a small token of welcome. If you feel comfortable. Oh, there's someone here. Hi, welcome. We are glad you are here, and we hope that you and everyone present today will join us for social hour in the parish hall behind me, in front of you, following the service. My name is Michaela Hoffman, and I am your ministerial intern, and my pronouns are they, them. Our worship team this morning includes Ilsa Oliveira, I might not have said that right, and Bill Westland. They're our greeters and our ushers here in the sanctuary. And our live stream team is Jordan Waterworth and Anne Marie Willer. Somewheres. Oh, back there. Oh, hi. And our worship staff, oh, we have Elizabeth Black as well, of course. And our worship staff include Reverend Rebecca Froom, who's our lead minister, and Nan Moore, the director of family ministry, and Norman Corey, of course, who's our awesome music director. We strive to be a welcoming community to people of all ages and abilities. And in the back of the sanctuary, you will find hearing assistance headsets, large print hymnals, and children's books, busy bags, and drawing materials that families are welcome to bring to their seats. And we have handicap accessible bathrooms on our lower level with elevator access in the foyer. And for folks joining us online, we'll be posting hymn lyrics and the words to unison readings in the chat as we go along. So as we prepare ourselves for worship, let us take a deep breath together, feeling the spirit of life and love that moves within, between, and beyond us all. And this morning, I will invite Reverend Rebecca to share a reading as we light our chalice, symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith.
Our chalice lighting words this morning are written by Valerie Kaur, an activist, a filmmaker, and faith leader from the Sikh tradition. Joy is the gift of love. Grief is the price of love. Anger protects that which is loved. And when we think we have reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us to love. I invite you to rise as you're willing and able and join in reading our congregation's words of covenant found in your order of service. As a free fellowship of this historic church, we unite to lift our hearts and open our minds to a larger reality, to accept, support, and encourage one another, to seek the wisdom in all religions, to cherish and sustain the web of life, and to strive for justice, compassion, and peace. On Sundays, we take time to greet one another by raising a hand in welcome or placing a hand over their heart or your heart. So in the spirit of peace and fellowship, let us greet one another this morning. And as we remain standing, let us lift our voices in song. It is hymn number 346, not 348. Come sing a song with me. So number 346, come sing a song with me. Our Advent wreath lighting is going to include a body prayer, which you can do seated or standing. So you can stay standing if you choose to do the body prayer standing. And before I bring us into today's Advent body prayer, let me say that we are indeed in the season of Advent in the Christian tradition, a time of reflection that precedes the celebration of Christmas, a time when we are asked, what are we waiting for, preparing for in our own hearts and lives and world, as we light candles each week in this darkest time of the year. So I invite you to join me into a body prayer that honors this week's Advent theme of joy. As Michaela has done in past weeks, I'll talk us through it twice, and then we'll do it once in silence. Yes? Yes. Let's take a deep breath in as Michaela lights our Advent candles for peace, hope, and now joy. Join me as you feel moved, sitting or standing. Holy One, may your joy sustain me. May your joy bubble up in me. May your joy grow in all directions. Amen. Holy One, may your joy sustain me. May your joy bubble up in me. May your joy grow in all creation. Amen. Amen. You may be seated.
I'd like to invite the children to please come forward, and their parents can come with them if they'd like as well. We'll have a seat right over here. Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to see you. Hi. Hi, Ben. So we have a message for all ages this morning. And I don't know why, but sometimes we associate how we feel with colors. So today our topic is what's blue. But in order to understand what's blue, what do you think, what kind of feeling do you think red would be? Micah? Angry. That's right. Or like, have you ever heard, oh, you're so hot-headed, or you're so angry you see red, right? So that's an emotion that's connected to that color. What emotion do you think is connected to this one? Ben? Happy, that's right. So it's like when the sun shines in your heart, right? We feel happy and joyful. So that's blue. Francesca? Sad. Yeah. That's really sad looking, right? Because sometimes when you're sad, I don't know, your eyes are wide open and sometimes they're closed. So I was thinking about, I wonder where this came from, this idea of feeling blue. Because that's what yes. Sorry? They're all primary colors, right? Did you know that too? That's great. That's awesome. So I researched and said, well, where did this tradition of feeling blue come from? And I read that it was when they had these old ships, like back in like the 1600s, and they would be out in the ocean, And if someone on board, like if the captain or if something happened to, if they had passed away or if they got really sick or if something happened to them, they fell overboard, you know what they would do? They made a blue flag. And they hung the blue flag outside of their ship. And they also had like this blue, they painted blue all around the edge. So people were feeling blue about their loss. So today, I want to give everyone a blue flag. So these blue flags are for you, and you can draw a face on them, or if you're maybe sometime feeling blue, you can put it in like a pencil holder in your desk and just kind of go, well, I'm feeling a little blue today. Or you can draw faces on them like with a marker, like I did with those. So I'd like you to raise your flags. And remember, the blue is like all emotions, right? They come and they go, just like the waves in the ocean. And happiness comes and it goes, and anger comes and it goes. So today you have your blue flags. So I'd like to invite all the children to come downstairs with Miss Paula for our mindfulness class.
Let's sing them on their way. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go. Through the sharing of our joys and sorrows, we create a sacred space where we are deeply present with ourselves and one another. This is a time for us to briefly share those life milestones that lift our spirits in joy or hope, or all of those pains and those losses and struggles that fill us with heartache. If you have a joy or a sorrow to share in a moment, you can come forward to this pulpit, share your name and then your joy or your sorrow. Alternatively, you can raise your hand and our ushers will bring you this microphone where you are. And for folks joining us online, you can share your joys or sorrows in the chat and we'll read them here in the sanctuary. As we begin our sharing, we light a candle of joy, knowing that a joy shared is a joy magnified, and also a candle of sorrow, knowing that a sorrow shared is a burden lightened. Let us open our hearts to one another. As we end our sharing of a great depth of sorrow and joy and everything overlapping and in between, we light a candle for all which is unsaid, all those joys, those sorrows, those hopes and fears and concerns that we hold silently in the sanctuary of our hearts. May the light of these candles and the compassion of this community Remind us that wherever we are on our journey, each of us is worthy of love, and each of us is able to love.
Beloveds, let us enter into a time of prayer and meditation. This morning's gift of meditation comes from Nathan Walker. Breathing in, I am aware of my pain. And breathing out, I am aware that I am not my pain. Breathing in, I am aware of my past. And breathing out, I am aware that I am not my past. Breathing in, I am aware of my despair. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my despair. Breathing in, I am aware of peace. And breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of peace. Breathing in, I am aware of love. And breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of love. Breathing in, I am aware. Breathing out, I am aware. Let us take a moment of silent prayer and meditation to move this awareness inwards. You are worthy. You are wonderful. You are loved. Blessed be. This time of year, the meditative hymn that we're about to sing is one of my favorites. With the memories, with the hubbub of the holidays. Let's sing this hymn together, seated. It's called Meditation on Breathing. And when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
This morning, we will be hearing a sermon in two parts from myself and then Michaela, knowing that there are many shades of Blue December. Our first reading is titled Winter Blessing by Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker. In the shadowed quiet of winter's light, earth speaks softly of her longing, because the wild places are in tears. Come, she cries to us. Kneel down here on the frosty grass and feel the prayer buried in the ground. Bend your ear to my heart and listen hard. Love this world, she whispers. Distill peace from the snow and water the cities with mercy. Weave wonder from the forest and clothe grief in beauty. Rest in the rhythm of the turning year, trace the bending arc, rounding the curve toward justice, and vow anew to do no harm. The winter trees stand watch, haloed in the last gleams of the slanting sun. Glory sings here. Heaven echoes the call, repeat the sounding joy. Make your life an answer. Bow, praise, rise. It was Thursday, December 16th. And I was sitting in an airport somewhere in America, waiting for a connecting flight to Portland, Maine. Upbeat Christmas music was playing, and travelers were moving about with that particular mix of stress and anticipation that is part of travel in the holiday season. Some were burdened by colorfully wrapped presents poking out of tote bags, and everywhere were Happy Holidays coffee mugs. But my small suitcase did not contain any Christmas or Hanukkah presents. I wasn't flying home or going to Grandma's house. I was flying to the funeral of one of my closest friends, Meg, who had died in a car accident 6 days earlier at the age of 26. All around me, people were wearing bright scarves and hats and gloriously ridiculous Christmas sweaters, and I was clothed in grief. I felt out of place. The surreal feeling that we can experience following the death of a loved one was compounded by the dissonance of flying to a funeral while everyone was singing joy to the world. Perhaps you too have felt this dissonance. Meg's funeral service was held in the high school auditorium in Brunswick, Maine, a vast room where she had once performed in musical theater plays. And on the stage, beside the microphone where dozens of people shared eulogies and remembrances, there stood a Christmas tree. And this time, that dissonance between Christmas and grief didn't feel so vast, just horribly sad. Meg loved Christmas. I stayed in Portland for another night, maybe two, and a few hours before I left, I stopped by Meg's apartment, wanting to see what had been her last home and perhaps find a token of friendship that I could bring with me. One of her roommates was there, and also Meg's mother. I found a gray scarf that I remembered Meg wearing in college. "May I keep this?" I asked. "Yes," Meg's mother said. And she swept me into a big hug. And as we started to make our goodbyes, somehow I found myself saying, "On Saturday, I need to speak about joy for 5 minutes in the Christmas Eve service. I don't know what I will say." I paused. I felt so awful that I brought this concern to a woman who had just lost her oldest child. And I felt burdened by this seasonal mandate for joy. If that's how I felt, how must she feel? But she held my arm, and she looked at me in the eye and said simply and lovingly, "You will find something to say." I don't remember what I said from the pulpit on Christmas Eve 2005. I've looked through my files and no document there, just the order of service. One speaker on peace, another on love, Rebecca, joy. I don't remember what I said about joy that Christmas Eve, just a vague sense of candlelight and the singing of Silent Night. What I do remember most looking back at that December is the love I felt for and from my friend's mother, as she reminded me that I would have something to say about joy. And the love of Meg's community in Portland, who I barely knew, who gathered together after the service to tell stories, eat food, make music, cry. And they brought me into that circle of love and grief. I would not describe that weekend as joyful, though the sharing of stories certainly brought smiles and even laughter into our time together. But there was an abundance of love, and the sharing of that love in a time of such heartbreak was beautiful. Rebecca Parker writes, "Love this world. Distill peace from the snow and water the cities with mercy. Weave wonder from the forest and clothe grief in beauty." That December, my grief was surrounded by beauty, the beauty of love that caught me unaware. I flew home to Tucson, Arizona, with grief still packed into my suitcase, but a suitcase that now held this soft gray scarf, a reminder of love and generosity. Now, over the last 17 Christmases, I've remembered this grief in different ways. Sometimes the holidays are particularly dissonant, sometimes they're not. This pattern, these waves of grief and emotion, I imagine you felt them too in your own way. But now, when December comes and I find myself traveling to the holidays, not for a funeral, I still feel that surreal dissonance sometimes, that strange loneliness of feeling blue in a time of yellow joy. But I have learned that I can find the joy to the world spirit of Christmas carols in my loving of the world, in having some faith that within the wonder of love, I might one day feel the wonder of joy. So friends on the journey, in this season that is blue and red and green and yellow and all of the colors of our hearts, I wish that you might feel the wonder of love, love shared, your own love of the spirit of life. May you rest in that love that holds us in joy, in sorrow, and the many places in between. May it be so.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. But Lord, 'tis for thee, for thy coming we wait. The sky, not the grave, is our goal. O trump of the angel, O voice of the Lord, blessed hope, blessed rest of my soul. I think each of us carry grief and loss, sadness, blueness. I felt that a lot during the pandemic. And I really felt it when I couldn't spend that time with my family on Christmas Day. I called my parents and we talked about the Wookiee cookies that Lindy and I had made. If you haven't tried them before, they're awesome. We talked about how quiet Christmas was. We talked about the many x-rays my parents read of the lungs of COVID-19 patients. My heart sunk through the floor. I have to be honest, I feel really resentful about the pandemic. I don't know if any of you feel that way at all. It was like my inner house that used to be kind of well put together. The same rugs, the same curtains on the windows were snatched, torn away. It was a mess in my inner house. What along the way for you, pandemic or tragedy or loss, has trampled through your inner house? It is well with my soul. How do we come home again to that inner house, to the communities we make together? When I spoke to my parents on Christmas of 2020, my mom told me the story of Horatio Spafford, whose words you heard at the beginning of this message. He was a wealthy lawyer and hymn writer in New York in the 19th century. He had 3 beloved children and his wife, Anna, who he loved. Him and his family were slated to take a trip on the SSV de Havre, which was going to France. They were going to go across the Atlantic, and he decided to stay behind and attend to business. So his children and his wife decided to go without him. However, the V de Havre never made it. Their vessel struck another vessel in an infamous wreck, and though Anna made it through, all 3 of his children perished at sea. It was this horrible tragedy that struck them down out of what some would call an absurd reach for something to hang on to. Horatio wrote, "It is well, my soul." The line that reads, "The sky, not the grave, is our goal," was his desperate call to his wife, Anna, to not look downwards into the sea, towards what she hoped would have been her grave with her children, but the sky, to where their God dwelled, where hope dwelled. We cannot rebuild if we give up on life, beloveds. Stafford's hymn, which was a vulnerable extension of his own mourning and sorrow, gave others something that continues to inspire that hope and provide strength for those rebuilding their inner houses. Hope is a complicated word. Before 2020, some of us might have considered hope a science like geology or chemistry. Many of us have had a formula for hope, that perhaps first you must do all you can do to make something possible, and that other times it takes complex querying and hypothesizing and pondering whether something could be possible. And sometimes it's difficult for hope to come out of that formula. The last decade, though, and the last 3 years have demonstrated that hope isn't always something you do after you've done all you can. It's what you do when there's nothing else you can do. Hope isn't a fool's errand. It's what's left when it feels like there's truly nothing left. I find hope when I find out that a stranger paid for my Dunks order before I get to the window, and I feel hope when people pull together and collect personal care items and books for people who really need it. Surely, if we're able to do these things, if we're able to confront heartbreak with love and with hope, we can do risky, hard things. Somewhere, there will be a change in your inner house. And so, beloveds, take this community, this outer manifestation of your inner house, and seize our bright future. Amen. Blessed be. I invite you all now to rise in body or spirit to sing hymn number 55, Dark of Winter.
You may be seated. We drink from wells we did not dig, and we worship in a sanctuary we did not build. And we gather in this sanctuary for many reasons. On Sundays, to celebrate the spirit of life, as well as reflecting on those topics of worth that move us in mind and heart. And we gather in this sanctuary to celebrate life in other ways, for celebrations of life, for memorial services, where we truly honor the inherent worth and dignity of the beloved we have lost, and honor our own mix of grief and love. And so your generosity in sustaining this building, our staff, your generosity helps us hold one another in times of grief within this sanctuary and beyond. You can give online by going to ufpc.org and clicking on the donate button, or by placing an offering in the offering plate. If this is your first time worshiping with us, please let the offering plate pass you by. Your presence here today is your gift to us, and we hope you will join us following the service for coffee and refreshment. May the ushers please come forward so that the morning offering to support the good works of United First Parish Church might be joyfully given, and know that it will be gratefully received. Thank you. We gather in our congregation for many ways and reasons. You can look in your announcement insert about our ongoing and upcoming programs. I want to highlight a few things today. During social hour, we have 2 tables that have holiday cards and note cards on them, and we encourage you to write a note to a member of our UFPC community that's on your heart or mind this blue, green, red, gold season. There's directories as well, or to another beloved, if that's where your heart calls you to pen and card. Then at 12, we have Spirit Circle for adults on mindfulness, and I believe that's meeting in the Spirit Circle classroom downstairs on the lower level. And then looking ahead to our remaining holiday events, next Sunday, we will have our annual multi-generational pageant-themed service with some variations from previous years. And after that, we will have a potluck, so you can sign up in the parish hall for what dishes you want to bring. No pressure. Your presence is what will be most important for the joyful spirit. Also next week at 5 p.m., the city of Quincy is having the lighting of the menorah in front of City Hall. It's the first night of Hanukkah, so if you're in Quincy Center at 5 p.m. next Sunday, you can come to that. Micah and I will be there. Micah's the 5-year-old, for folks who don't know, that comes with me. Context. And then our Christmas Eve service is on the 24th at 6 p.m. And now I invite Claire to make a brief spotlight announcement about our book drive for the Interfaith Social Services Food Pantry families.
Every time a family visits the Interfaith Social Services Food Pantry, they are given free books, a book for each one of the children in the family. And they do this every time a family comes to visit. So last year they gave out 30,000 books. So we do need to collect books. We can't collect 30,000 books here, but we'd like to be able to make a good dent. The data is clear that books in a household have a positive effect for successful outcomes in rates of graduation and employment. So this is a good thing. Now I know that times are tough and money may be tight, and that's why I want to offer a little consumer hint that the Friends of the Thomas Crane Public Library have a wonderful bookstore. It's in the basement of the Richardson Building. The entrance is on Spear Street, and they do have a children's book section. And so the books are maybe $1 or $2. I mean, really, it's a terrific bargain. And so we are collecting new and gently used books. Now, I just want to make a personal note that one of my favorite quotes from Ralph Waldo Emerson is that all children are foreigners. And it's true. From the word go, they're exploring their world. They're trying to find out, what is this place? Who are you? Who am I? And so I wanted to make a special appeal to our friends and members who may not have children who are in their households. Maybe they never had families, maybe they're moved away, they're not part of your circle. I hope that you will visit the Friends bookstore and help be part of this drive and to help welcome all of our little strangers. So thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Let's take a deep breath together again. Returning to that spirit of life and love that moves within, between, and beyond us all. I invite you to rise as you're willing and able and place your hand over your heart for our words of benediction. Words by Kendall Gibbons. There is finally only one thing required of us, and that is to take life whole, the sunlight and the shadows together, to live the life that has been given to us with courage and humor and truth. We have such a little moment out of the vastness of time for all our wondering and loving. Therefore, let there be no half-heartedness. Rather, let the soul be ardent in its pain, in its yearning, and in its praise. Then shall peace enfold our days, and glory shall not fade from our lives. In this spirit, may we go in peace and go in love to be a blessing to the world. And I invite you to turn towards the center aisle to offer one another a sung benediction with words in the order of service while I extinguish the chalice. Carry the flame of peace and love. Blessed be.